We have a special topic to cover right away, which is the domestic terrorism that's been happening in the United States. This is predominantly from the liberal side. And it seems like it's springtime and they're not in charge. So it's time to start burning things down yet again. And this happens quite often. And I want to go through a couple of the topics here of how this works and some of the things that we're seeing. And at some point, I would like to just find out from people who are Democrats or who are liberals, and these are the people that are supported by your party. When are you going to start talking out about this stuff? When are you going to stop tacitly agreeing with it and coming out and saying, this is actually wrong? We do this for other issues. There's people that join conservative movement, liberal movement, and they're clearly wrong. And the main party has to come out and say, stop doing this. I don't see any Democrats. I don't see any liberals in the higher echelons of the party saying to stop. All I hear them say is, well, what about January 6th? What about this? What about that? They don't actually just say, stop doing this. This is not what our party represents. What are your thoughts, Dave?
Yeah, I agree completely. They either decide as a party what they plan on doing. Otherwise, someone's going to have to declare the Democrat Party a domestic terrorist party and treat them the same as we treated the gangbangers that we just sent back to El Salvador.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting close to it. They really are. Whenever they have a problem, it's burn it down, and then they call the conservatives the Nazis. I don't understand that correlation. So I want to.
Yeah, how does the Republic becomes fascist and Marxist when they're the ones that are using the bully tactics to get their way?
Right, exactly. So I'm going to go and show something that I found very interesting, and I'm going to play it and then we'll talk about it. So let me start this from the beginning. And give me the thumbs up if you can hear this.
I found out today that somebody that I work with is a conservative, and he's somebody who's really intelligent, and he's somebody who works in climate tech as a super smart guy, somebody I would never have thought was conservative, and apparently he is. And it's surprising and it's disgusting. But what's most surprising to me is the level of sudden hatred that I have for him. Sudden hatred for this man who I used to respect suddenly just went boop, and I hate him now. Found out today that somebody that I work.
So I find this common in people I talk to who I respect and who I value their opinion, but they have this unnatural hatred for anything they don't like as far as a conservative goes. That went with George W. Bush. I saw it first with him. Primarily some people in my family, absolutely closed-fisted rage about this guy. And then all of a sudden Donald Trump came on and it was the same closed-fisted, tight-fisted rage. And I said to this person, I said, you used to hate Donald Trump or George W. Bush the same way. Well, I hate Donald Trump more. And now Elon Musk has come and I hate Elon Musk. It's good that this girl has realized it, but she isn't there yet. She's taken the first step. She's realized that there's something wrong here. This intense hatred that came up just because she found out a guy is conservative. That should be an alarm bell for you to know you've been conditioned for that. That's Pavlovian dog kind of stuff. If you find out somebody's conservative and you used to respect them or you respect them and you talk to them and they're normal people, keep that in mind and start thinking about that when you're applying this hatred to them.
Right, and Elon was a Democrat prior to this. Trump was a Democrat prior to this. Elon's trying to save everybody money, not waste money. He said it a million times, we're not going to cut Medicare, we're not going to cut Medicaid, we're not going to cut Social Security. But because Elon is all of a sudden, he went to the conservative side just to help out, now all of a sudden he's the enemy.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear a rational justification for the hatred that they have for Elon Musk now. Yeah, he's going into a department that was created by Barack Obama. That department was funded by Congress and Senate, or it was approved by them. In his existing department, he was appointed by the President of the United States to serve on this committee. And what their job is to cut out fraudulent and wasteful spending. Why are people against that? I don't understand it. They say it's illegal. It's not illegal. He's not doing it. He recommends the cuts, then the departments make the cuts. They say it's a bunch of 19-year-olds that are doing it. Well, no. If you go take a look at the news conference he had, most of his decision makers are older men. I don't know if there's women. All I saw was men, but they're middle-aged men, and then they're in the computer, usually in the scientific fields. Now he's got some 19, 20-year-olds doing some work too. They're bright, they're ambitious, and they're hungry. There's nothing wrong with that. But try to articulate, please. And if somebody's watching this and you have a comment, if you have a way to explain this to me, I'm asking not rhetorically, I'm asking actively. What is it that you hate so much about what he has done? This is the guy that just had his company bring back 2 people that were stranded in space for months. And the US and NASA couldn't do it. And his company did it. They should be having ticker tape parades for this guy. But no, it's because he's associated with Donald Trump. It's complete and utter hatred. And if he wasn't associated with Donald Trump and he did this, they'd be trying to make him president, even though he's ineligible to be president.
Correct.
So that was
at what point is it, he's helping out, and and Trump is doing exactly what Bush, Clinton, all of them said they were going to do, and Trump is actually doing it.
Right.
Elon doesn't have any power. He is a consultant that recommends. So everything he just says, hey, we found this, and he brings it to the head of the department. He has no power. He has the same amount less power than Tina Smith or Klobuchar.
right. Yeah, but the hatred is real. I mean, it's right on there.
Oh, definitely.
And what we've got is Democratic leadership stoking this. I'm going to show you another one. Take a listen
We
to this.
might call this getting strike ready. I think of it as getting us strike ready or street ready. And part of that is understanding our own strength. And as we develop that strength, being able to assess our risk tolerance, because we know that risk tolerance increases as the severity of the situation increases and as our own understanding of what's happening increases. So overall, the more we understand what's effective, what the risks are, and who's ready to participate, the more impact we can have.
This is basically calling for strikes against citizens and companies. And she's playing around with words. We got to be strike and street ready. Well, what does that mean? Oh, well, I meant strike as in like a union strike. I don't understand what you're striking against. So how does that correlate to what you're doing in the streets? Being street ready means a different thing, doesn't it? Doesn't that mean taking it to the streets and causing disruption? But again, it's going to be burn down things, destroy things, make sure that there's a lot of disruption, make sure everybody's in misery because we don't like that our programs are being cut because that's how we make our money.
Yeah, she's losing her kickback, so she's not too happy about the whole situation. There's a Minnesota representative that I should have brought up the House file number, but he introduced a bill to stop protesting at individual people's houses. And obviously that's going to go nowhere this year because the Democrats still want to be able to protest and intimidate people. So they've made protesting at people's houses, they'll keep that legal, sure.
That'll pass when they get into power. They're all about stopping people from talking when they're into power. That was the whole thing that they did on Twitter, on Facebook. Their misinformation stuff is we don't like your information, so we're going to label it as misinformation. And they will again do that when they are in power, which is inevitable. You can't keep them out forever.
And they still have that thing going on in Minnesota where they are currently writing down every poor thing that you say, they said they're not going to ever use it, but they're writing it down
Sure.
to use against you in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's something else. Here's another thing that I don't hear enough people saying is wrong. Burn a Tesla, save democracy. Look at these guys in the mask. You know, it's just not a liberal protest until you've got a face mask on.
Right. If they're so proud of it, why they were in masks? They can't even
Right.
stand. They don't even like their own position.
It's like
'Cause they
when
stand behind it.
so we had a dog and we had a plate of food sitting on a dresser or a shelf or something within the dog's reach. Dog didn't touch it. And then I walked out of the room and walked back. And by that time, that dog had eaten that food. And so, you know, you're yelling at the dog, you know, what'd you do? You know what you did. And the wife says, you know, he doesn't know what he was doing. No, I don't agree with that because he did it when I left. He didn't do it the whole time I was sitting there. As soon as he thought he'd get away with it, he knew what he was doing wrong, right?
And if he could have wore a mask, he would have wore a mask.
Yeah, blame it on the cat. Let's take a look at this next one. We've got a thing here where a 61-year-old woman driving a Tesla boxed in by a male driver, beaten while sitting in her car. You okay with this? Is this where you're going and you want to have this kind of stuff happening in the streets? You got a woman who's 61 years old getting beaten up by a guy because she has audacity to drive a Tesla? I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it said Flagstaff, Arizona. I don't know what the gun laws are in there, but you know, if he could easily have been shot if once he threw the first punch.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's why we need to keep our gun laws.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a perfect example of making sure that people are being able to defend themselves and what the great equalizer really means, right?
Right. Yep.
The 61-year-old woman should have been able to defend herself. Who knows where that guy was going to stop? He didn't end up hurting her, but did she know that at the time? No.
No, she needed to be able to defend herself.
Right. Let's see.
And then back to Minnesota's problem with there's the same situation. Some female keyed and vandalized some guy's Tesla down in Bloomington, and the owner of the Tesla decided not to press charges on him. The best quote I found from that, it was from the police chief Booker Hodges, who he came into power a bunch of years ago, and I agree with everything he says. But he says we need our leaders to start leading and stop feeding this rhetoric.
Right. I got that pulled up right now.
He wants to follow the law. I mean, what's so difficult about that?
Right.
So if someone keys your car, you charge them with it, regardless of it's on videotape. This lady should have been thrown in jail. Yeah, she had to pay $3,200 in damages, but still.
Right. But still doesn't get charged after
Right.
inflicting thousands of dollars damage. You and I do this, we go to jail. Rightfully so.
Right. It's when the police chief is basically fighting against the rest of the government, you've got a serious problem.
Right.
And we're back to Tim Walz stoking the fire.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tim Walz he's doing it just like every other one of these so-called leaders does.
Yeah, we don't have a leader running Minnesota, I can guarantee you that much.
Here's a great one that we just talked about right before the show, but You got to love it. Now, what you're going to see here is two little girls walking in front of their mother. The mother's going to be vandalizing the Tesla, but check out how the one little girl reacts to the car. The cute little girls just walking up. Gotta love it. She flips off the camera and then mom vandalizes the car. That's just stellar parenting. Good job there. I mean,
Right.
she's just breeding more of these people that whatever I do is okay. Rule of law doesn't apply to us, but we're going to harp about rule of law for everything else. And we're going to talk about everything under the sun, but it doesn't apply to us because we're justified. You know why? Because we're right. And that is the most scary position to be in.
Well, the bigger problem is the girl is obviously smarter than the mom, because the little girl flipped off the camera, so the girl knew the camera was there, and the mom didn't. You key right where you're being watched. Guess what's
Yeah.
going to happen?
Well, I hope they get her.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did or not. We got another one here. Let's see if I can get it here. Deranged Florida woman charged with felony after vandalizing Tesla, causing nearly $3,000 in damage at mall parking lot. So yeah, just keying another car.
It's a woman.
I don't know how she identifies. Yamaris Moretto. Well, that's a pretty obvious thing. I don't know. I can't tell you. Well, what it is a deranged person that's damaging other people's property because they're angry about something they probably couldn't articulate.
Right.
So, okay, so I've got a list of some recent vandalisms against Teslas. Colorado, person was arrested after a Molotov cocktail was thrown at a Tesla dealership. Colorado Springs, Colorado, police responded to 2 reports of Tesla vehicles being vandalized. Enterprise, Nevada, multiple Teslas were set on fire at a dealership. 36-year-old Las Vegas resident was arrested and charged. Salem, Oregon, Tesla vehicle was set on fire at a dealership. Tigard, Oregon, a dealership was damaged by gunfire in March. Hamilton, Ontario, 80 Teslas were damaged with deep scratches and punctured tires at a dealership. Las Vegas, Nevada, 5 vehicles were damaged, 2 fully engulfed in flames. Sweden, Tesla dealerships and cars were vandalized with orange paint by activists. Rome, Italy, overnight fire at Tesla dealership destroyed 17 cars. Berlin, Germany, 7 Teslas burnt. Berlin, Germany, environmentalists sprayed blue paint on them. Australia, Tesla dealership vandalized with graffiti. New Zealand, 52-year-old man was arrested with multiple vandalized Teslas. This is a disease. Start taking care of this. Otherwise, you're going to be facing the wrong end of the gun, unfortunately. And somebody's not going to take nicely to their property being vandalized, and you're going to get hurt.
I heard Elon say that he's getting 17 to 18,000 email death threats per day. Per day.
How many?
17,000 to 18,000 per day.
Death threats. For what? For cutting spending?
Yeah. How did he? Just because he was cutting spending, that's all of a sudden the most horrible thing in the world to do, and call him a Nazi and try to destroy his businesses?
Right. Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and it's same people are getting paid Elon has reported this. People are getting paid to show up at these Democratic rallies. And here's a great thing that's going to happen in Duluth. Well, I say great. Here's another protest that's happening. So they just continue to organize these protests. Protest. This all started, I swear to God, with George W. Bush. That's when I first noticed it happening all the time. There used to be a honeymoon period for any president that got elected. When George W. Bush got elected, because there was conspiracy theorist election deniers on the Democrat side, he was never accepted as a full president for many months. But let me just get this out. Here's what's going to happen in this Northland today, or this weekend. They're organizing ahead of a nationwide protest against Trump. And I actually saw the emails that were sent out by organization affiliated with the Attorney General that they're telling them what to write as far as handmade signs, because they don't want to look organized anymore. They want to look grassroots. But here are the signs that you should make. And so you've got these women in cloquet that are doing this. There's a bunch of stuff happening on Saturday. And Ellison's coming to Duluth. He's going to be speaking at Denfeld on Saturday with Duluth News Tribune endorsed Representatives Kozlowski and Johnson side by side with him. They say it's a nonpartisan event. I'm going to it. We're going to see if it's nonpartisan or not. I'll be very interested to see what that's all about. But the person that sent me the invitation or sent me the information also sent me a link to join the current rally that's happening on Saturday too. So I don't know exactly how this nonpartisan event is happening, but it's certainly not as nonpartisan as I would like it to be. And this is supposed to be Ellison talking about the things he's doing for, Minnesota. I would like to know from this guy, what's his going in position with dealing with the new administration, the federal government? Was it adversarial, or was it trying to figure out how can I help him, and then figuring out maybe he doesn't agree with some of the stuff? It seems like this has been 100% adversarial since November, since he got elected. And
Right.
Keith Ellison has got an axe to grind with any Republican or conservative, it seems, and doesn't care what their position is at all. You can come out and say the sky is blue and he'll argue with you.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
this is an
how did he
interesting.
get elected when he
Sorry,
just,
say that again.
how did he even get elected with that much hate in him?
I don't know.
And that much bias?
So if you look at this article a little bit, they think this group has gone from 60 to 350 members. They sat around tables and they talked about who they were and why they were here and what they were upset about, said co-organizer Joan Peterson. And people really wanted that. They wanted to talk to other like-minded people who felt the same way they did. Of course they did. They love the hive mind. They hate having people that dissent against them. And they've been loving this because that's what the mainstream media has been. That's been what the Minnesota entirety of the government has been. If you live in Duluth, it's been your representatives, your city council, your mayor. If you go up to this level, higher levels, you've got a lot of county commissioners. You had the House and the Senate. House last year, before we took it and made it even at least, the Senate, the governor, and the Supreme Court. So they love it in Minnesota, but they still can't accept the fact that a Republican won the White House. And now they're organizing because this is what they do. They got to be griping about something, and they've got to get out there. Hands off my data. So they're upset about a government-appointed official, which is Elon Musk and his crew, having access to data. Who else had access to that data? Where did that data come from? Why does the government have it? Why do you think that Elon Musk do you think he's curating this data, or do you think that's data that's already there? Are you concerned at all about the other people that have seen it over the years? No, they're being told what to be upset about, which is, hey, we need to be upset because Elon Musk might see my data. Didn't this guy do PayPal? He had more information on you than you ever knew in your life.
Right. Yeah. So he created PayPal, and you voluntarily gave him all this information. So
Right.
he already has this information.
Right.
And
Several rallies will take place locally. Duluth City Hall at 10, Cloquet, Two Harbors, Grand Marais Pier. This is what they do. This is what they have. That's their whole life. It looks like a bunch of old ladies that are doing this too, because if you look down the pictures here, it's just a bunch of senior citizen white ladies that are doing these things, hands off the courts. Can she explain that? I don't think so. Maybe she can. It's like an arts and crafts show for the senior citizens group.
Yeah, it's an arts and crafts split business, basically.
Right. Yeah. We just got to
Well,
get through this.
We talked about this a bunch of years ago, or a bunch of episodes ago, about when they were protesting the war for George Bush,
Yep.
and the day that he lost or he quit and Obama took over, all the protests stopped.
Yep.
They weren't concerned about him being they were all concerned about, hey, we need to protest. We need to protest something. The war continued, but they just kind of forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he bombed families. He bombed many people with the drones, but it stopped protesting. You know what they protested? Wall Street. So they have these cycles of protests that they do, and one is, hey, we're going to protest the war, and then when we got done with that, like you said, then they protested Wall Street, and then when the Republicans got back in office, now they protested Black Lives Matter. That was the other firebombing, and now they're going to protest this, hands off, whatever. I'm trying to look at some comments here.
Yeah.
So somebody has shared a link tree. It's a capstone of militant socialist networks that they found. Calendars, subgroups, forums, mail lists, and social media. Yeah, that's pretty scary. Let's see, I don't see a link to it, but I will try to find that. And if we don't do it in this episode, we will do it in the next episode.